Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Legendary Leaders with me, Cathleen O'Sullivan, your host of this show. And today it's gonna remain me, myself, and I. It's a slightly shorter episode, a punchier episode, related to a topic that's incredibly close to my heart, that is focused on a particular behavior I see in many, many people and myself as well. And that actually isn't very helpful for us, for others, for our energy, and so on. So the title of today's episode is Stop Being So Damn Helpful. The curse of the over-responsible leader. And we are diving into the spicy one because it is a curse to be always helpful. This isn't an episode that is focused on black and white thinking, not at all, being helpful or not being helpful, for example. You ought to be helpful and support others, but in the right moments. There are certain moments when we step in and step in too quickly that stifles growth for others and often for us as well. So yes, we've got to talk about it. And if you have ever found yourself saying, it's just quicker if I do it, or I don't want to let them down, or my team is already so overloaded, better I keep it for myself and just do it myself, then this episode is clearly for you. Because let's be honest, helpfulness can become an immense trap. One that leaves you drained, often resentful, constantly cleaning up the messes that aren't yours. You may be tired and exhausted, and it's very, very hard to gain that energy back. So today we are talking about how to stop over-functioning, how to start leading like a grown-up and let go without all of this guilt. And a little spoiler alert, will we get rid of all the guilt we sometimes carry in ourselves, in particular as women? Probably not. But can we reduce the level? Yes, 100% we can. I speak from my own experience. I am working on it. It's work in progress, but I already feel so much lighter when it comes to letting go and letting go of the guilt. That makes me smile and it makes me incredibly proud as well. First of all, let's talk about what overfunctioning really looks like. It might mean you respond to emails at 11 p.m. if that is not a usual time you would be working at. Right? I appreciate we live in a more flexible world where some people might like to log on again later in the hours and do something. That is fine. But if 11 p.m. wouldn't be your usual log on time, and you still do it because you believe you've got to push through it, you believe you've got to please everybody, then you've got to think about your work habits and your overall behaviors a bit more closely. Maybe you jump in when someone's unsure. You might micromanage under the guise of support. Perhaps you are the safety net, the fixer, the one who always shows up, especially when no one else does. I once worked with a brilliant leader, let's call her Cathleen, heading up a customer success team for a global tech company. She was adored by others and her team knew she'd always catch things. But guess what? She was also exhausted, tired. She was constantly skipping lunch, silently resenting the very people she kept rescuing. And she told me, I feel like a parent to the team and I just can't seem to stop. The line between being supportive and over-responsible is thinner than you think. So we've got to think about why being helpful backfires. Here's the deal. Your team may stop thinking critically because the thinking is being done for them. You create dependency, not ownership. You build a reputation for being nice, not necessarily for being clear, for being strategic, for sharing transparently the hard truths as well. And you lose time, energy, and often you lose track of your own priorities because you're so caught up with the priorities of other people. Another client I used to work with is a senior marketer, and she said literally yes to everything. And she told me, hey, I am a self-identified people pleaser. And it makes me smile, right? I'm pretty sure if I was to ask you now who identifies as a people pleaser, loads of hands would go up. And it is nice to want to be there for other people, no doubt at all. It is about, as I said before, how often do we do it? Is it our norm? Is it our habit? Is it what we do automatically without pausing and thinking about the consequences of doing that for us and for them? She was the unofficial therapist, the editor, the cleaner upper, as I like to call her as well. And her CEO praised her for being dependable. But you know what? He passed her over for a promotion because she wasn't seen as visionary. That's tough, isn't it? That was the moment when she realized helpfulness was keeping her small, because that was her go-to brand. That's what she was seen for. She did so many other beautiful things, and she brought certain characteristics to the mix that were needed in her role, but they weren't quite as visible. That's what we need to pay attention to. So it's time to get practical. And I want to introduce to you 4 steps to help you shift from overfunctioning to actual leadership. The first step is to spot the signs. It always starts with awareness, doesn't it? So here are a few questions you may want to ask yourself. Am I doing work that's not mine? Am I saying yes out of guilt? Do I feel secretly resentful? And I could probably share 10 more questions with you with regards to building self-awareness, but these are 3 questions you can start with. The leader I coached, who I just talked about, kept rewriting her team's slide decks, every single one. And when we dug into it together, it wasn't about quality, it was about control. And the fear of being judged through their potential mistakes in those slides. Yeah. So it might be worthwhile asking yourselves loads of why questions. Why am I reviewing these or rewriting these slides now? And then you will get an answer. And why is that? Yeah, because I don't want the slides to contain mistakes. Okay. And why is that? Right? Because the mistakes would make me feel embarrassed. Okay, why is that? Yeah, and you notice slowly but surely you get to the root cause of your actual challenge here that you may need to work on. The second step is replace rescuing with coaching or mentoring. You don't have to be a trained coach to do that. But one of the core skills of coaches is to ask thought-provoking, open questions that are in service of others. So when someone brings you a problem, for example, don't jump into fix-it mode. One of my managers kept saying to me, and I'm sure that's familiar to many of you listening to this episode, don't come to me with problems, come to me with a solution, or at least with great questions so we can think it through together. So what you may want to ask that person who approaches you with a problem is to say, so tell me, what have you tried so far? What's been working? Where did you get stuck? What do you think could work? And you could even add, if you had all the resources in the world, if you could just make your own choices and decisions in this moment. What support do you need to take the next step? Again, a few examples for questions. I'm sure you have some great ones in your mind as well that you would ask in this situation. But pause. And the moment you want to rescue, you want to step in, pause. And rethink. Are you stepping into action and solution mode right away? Or what is it you can do differently in this moment to help the other person take ownership, grow, and learn? Because asking these questions will put ownership back in their hands, and it will train them to think like real problem solvers. Again, it doesn't mean you will never help. No, but let them think first. And see where they really get stuck, if at all. 2 or 3, a script for letting go, but without guilt. So here's a phrase I've seen work made magic. I trust you to run with this. If you hit a wall, I'm here. But I know you got this. I know you've got this. The moment you say that to a team member, they feel trusted. They may feel empowered, still somewhat nervous perhaps, but they know you've got their back. Yeah. If a colleague of yours is approaching you with a problem that they want you to solve again, you may reframe these sentences a little bit. Yeah. You may want to get back to question mode, perhaps. See what works there. But those steps usually apply not just to your direct reports, they apply to colleagues as well, and you can use them very well upwards too. My client that I used to refer to, who tried this with her new hire, achieved a lot of success. The result wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. And this team member literally glowed with pride because she saw that her manager trusted her. She felt empowered. She gave it a go. And even though in their check-in conversation, they both realized there is some space for improvement, the learning and the progress that was felt in this moment helped her try it again and improve and grow moving forward. And that's what this is about. Leadership isn't about perfection. It is about empowerment, ownership, and growing together. Now, step 4 is all about practicing useful discomfort, because believe me, it will feel so uncomfortable not to step in right away. That is your growth zone in this moment. Yeah. And I'm sorry that I'm smiling away, even though it might feel so hard for you, because it will feel amazing at the same time. You will notice right away when you haven't stepped in, and you will feel the sense of pride as well. And most importantly, when you notice people have stepped up, people have taken action without you, people have shared some innovative new thoughts, you realize, oh, it's worthwhile putting the effort in. So you may want to set a timer. You may want to wait for 24 hours before replying to, can you just do something? Yeah, or any other requests. And I say the following with love and care: let someone struggle without stepping in. They'll figure it out. Yeah. Be close so you can keep an eye and you notice, what's going on. It's like with children. They fall, they may struggle. And I don't know about you, but as a mom, I constantly want to run over and immediately help them get up. And then I stop and I see what's happening. And they get out of their mess and they will perhaps moan and vent in that moment. But then it all works out and they get back up and they've learned and they take this learning forward with them. And that's the beauty. And I love seeing those moments. And I love to see them in adults too. So reflect on your ongoing urge. Am I fixing this to help or to feel needed? Or to be in control? What's really the underlying issue here? Remember, growth is messy, but that's where capability is being built. And if you never let them wobble, they'll never walk on their own. So let's call it what it is. Being overly helpful is a control strategy. It looks kind, but it often masks a fear of being irrelevant, replaceable, or seen perhaps as selfish too. I'm not there for others. But what's the story that we are forming in our own heads here that might not be true? Because here's the truth. Your team doesn't need a hero, they need a leader. And you need your time, your energy, and your strategy space back. So here's your challenge this week. Find one moment where you'd usually jump in and simply don't. Use perhaps a coaching question instead, or just stay silent for a bit longer than usual. And if you are feeling brave, let me know how it goes. You can find me on LinkedIn, or as you know, through email as well, leaderspace@CathleenO'Sullivan.com. And if this episode gave you a little loving nudge or a needed punch, perhaps, shared with someone who always is the go-to fixer. Let's help each other break this pattern. You've listened to Legendary Leaders with me, Cathleen O'Sullivan. Lead less like a parent, more like a pro. And I'll see you again next time. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye, everybody. Crazy.